Welcome back to another episode of Guide Live, the hottest B2B jam session, not only in the South, but also the West Coast, the East Coast, the North Coast, and hopefully the United States. I'm excited about today's episode because I am here joined by two phenomenal fellas who I am grateful to call friends. They are not near me. I'm currently in Houston, but they are, and one of them is in Boston right now. I think the other one's on the West Coast. But these guys rock. Let me tell you about them. I'm talking with Klaus and Aaron today, and this is Aaron McDaniel and Klaus. I always forget how to pronounce Klaus's last name. He's always going to kill me about this. But Klaus and Aaron, they lead 10x Innovation, which is one of my favorite innovation consulting companies that I've been working with in the past, and I still am a partner to. And they actually have a lot of stuff that they are working on right now, such as new programs, as well as things that they're doing to support organizations as we are transitioning back to hopefully normal times in the world post-COVID-19. They are working on a lot. They are also advisors to organizations in Taiwan, such as the Taiwan Tech Arena. In addition to that, they do a lot of stuff within the Silicon Valley innovation ecosystem, really helping a lot of startups, entrepreneurs, as well as enterprise companies realize innovations within their organizations and are using practical frameworks. Man, both of them together have probably mentored 1,000 entrepreneurs and founders or more, and do so much within the innovation ecosystem, not only in Silicon Valley, but also across the world. And they can dive deep on how much they do because there's so much that I don't even know of. But both of them, one of them actually, fun fact, and I'm going to allow you guys to guess which one. One of them has written a book before. And you all might be excited to see which one of that is. They're gonna talk a little bit about that. But I'm really excited to talk to them because I haven't chatted with them in a long time. But they have a lot to share about some of the things that they're working on with 10x Innovation and some of their thoughts on the future of work, as well as innovation ecosystems that are growing and arising in the post-COVID-19 world. Aaron McDaniel, Klaus, what's up, man? How's it going, guys?
Hey, Tim, how's it going?
What's up, Mr. Future of Work?
You're too kind, my friend. How are you all doing? Where are you all currently located right now? I know, Klaus, you're in Boston, right? Aaron, where you at, man?
Bay Area. Born and raised.
Born and raised, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sitting, as I mentioned to you a bit before, in the basement of my in-laws in Boston, in Malton, basically, in the suburbs. So, hence the different scenery. So yeah.
Shout out to you, Klaus. Well, tell your in-laws they have a really nice background.
Exactly. There's just some traditional Taiwanese, Chinese, background and paintings and all that stuff. My wife is Taiwanese, so Aaron's wife actually is also Asian. So we're very cultured, if you will.
I love it. Well, I would love for you all to share with the amazing people who are tuning in and viewing. How long have you two known each other? When did you all meet each other? Because you all have been leading for quite some time now.
Well, I'll let Aaron explain this.
It's funny that Klaus had mentioned our wives. So the reason we know each other is because our mother-in-laws, our wife's mothers, are best friends. So,
wow.
So as Klaus likes to say, in business, we kind of have to get along with each other. Otherwise, there could be some problems at home. So, but yeah, how long has it been, Klaus? 6 years at least?
I've been here close to 8 years. So I actually think we're creeping up on around 7.5 years. So it's definitely been a long marriage.
A long time.
That's a long time. Especially being, partners and co-founders in 10x Innovation. Talk to us a little bit about y'all's entrepreneurial journey. I want to start there because then we'll talk a little bit about 10x Innovation. Have you all always been super entrepreneurial, or did that come naturally, or was it that you guys realized this opportunity to build this company and then, just join forces?
I'll let Aaron go ahead first here.
Sure. So I started my career at AT&T. As corporate as it can get, a couple 100,000 employees. And I worked there for about a decade, but basically the whole time I was doing side businesses. And it was a very eclectic mix. So started with custom wedding invitations that were actually made internationally, brought to the US. Then after that, portable beer pong tables, a natural transition from wedding invitations. That one was actually successful, got acquired. Then a precursor app to Uber. It's called Flag Down Taxi. So a lot of mistakes made there. Taxi companies weren't ready to innovate. We made mistakes in building the company, but good lessons. Then to answer your little trivia question, I was actually the one who wrote a book. Wrote a couple books actually. The first time around on how to be successful in your career. Then I started a real estate crowdfunding platform and have the distinction of being called a criminal on national television when I was on Shark Tank, which was a cool experience. I ended up turning down an offer from Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, and then started an aggregator of alternative investments, a lot of crowdfunding investments. We jokingly called it Tinder for investing because you swipe through, I like this deal, I don't like this deal. Then that got acquired. And then after that, Klaus and my paths crossed more directly. I'll pass it over to Klaus to tell a little more of his story.
Yes, I don't have as much as an interesting career as Aaron have. He's founded multiple companies, but I have a very strange career, I guess I would say. But first, I've lived and worked in 4 different continents. I think that's where my passion lies, international business, right? But actually, prior to that, I was a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to business. I think not to kind of bring a sad story into the mix here, but I was bullied a lot when I was young and all that stuff. So I kind of shied away from public settings back in the day. But when I finally started to get my confidence, I went back to school and started my business career, if you will. But prior to that, I had been in a moving company, been a scaffolder, been a fireman, and all that stuff. So I guess I've been sort of reinventing myself multiple times over, if you will, and that's something I truly believe in, and in that people can actually transform themselves by simply diving deep into topics and all that stuff. So your career doesn't have to be a linear journey. It can most certainly be very, very strange and take basically multiple directions, if you will, during your life, and that's sort of my career essentially. So I think I just bring those very strange experiences into the mix of doing business, if you will, and I guess been entrepreneurial, if you will. I don't know if there's a word for being entrepreneurial into personality, but I think I don't know. I was just trying to invent the word on the fly there, but I think that's more that would describe my career, if you will.
Yeah, and I think what's so unique about both y'all's backgrounds, it really allows you all to be able to connect with entrepreneurs and founders, no matter what location that they're in, no matter what stage in their journey that they're in, at such a great in a great way, because you guys are seeing so much from startups to enterprise, as well as really thinking about innovation at scale, at a global scale. I want to dive deep in class and ask you a little bit about 10x Innovation. But talk to us a little bit about 10x Innovation. What is 10x Innovation? What inspired the company, man?
Yeah, I mean, so actually then coming to Silicon Valley, I studied an MBA, but after that MBA, I joined an organization called Silicon Valley Forum, which is one of the oldest nonprofits in Silicon Valley. And I think in the beginning, I was just hired as a business development manager until the CEO back then, Adiba Barney, who I love, very, very much, and really respect, who unfortunately had to depart her role. But she gave me very quickly the opportunity to lead international for the organization, because she saw that there was a massive opportunity in international business for an organization like Silicon Valley Forum to kind of share best practices to entrepreneurs from across the world. So very quickly, I think it was like 4 months into my role, with actually fairly limited business experience, I was given the title head of international relations, and all of a sudden I had to figure everything out, right? So very, very, very quickly, I found myself to be very comfortable in that role, dealing with international organizations, whether it's corporates, entrepreneurs, or governments, helping them to get these best practices from Silicon Valley, entrepreneurial best practices, and then helping them to connect to the innovation ecosystem in Silicon Valley. And for me, that came sort of very natural, because I had myself the experience of coming from Denmark to Chile to Vietnam, and then also now to Silicon Valley, sort of understanding the journey that it takes for you to go from one market to another. And then coupled with that, partner up with Aaron and learning from him about entrepreneurial best practices is kind of gave me the skill, I guess, to support entrepreneurs in understanding not just the business journey, but also the personal journey as you want to go into a new market, stuff like that.
That's so powerful, man. And I want to dive deep with both of you here, and I'll allow you to go first, Aaron. So much has changed due to COVID-19 across every market when it comes to technology and innovation. I want to ask you, Aaron, what are some like 1 or 2 trends that you're seeing, maybe in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, that's piquing your interest, man?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that Klaus and I talk about often. So think of it as a spectrum, right? So some things are going to go back exactly to the way they were before. Some things are going to be completely changed forever. Most things are going to fall somewhere in between. But I think in a lot of ways, especially related to work, we're tending more toward the certain things are changed forever, as opposed to going back to the way they were. Or maybe to put another way, like the companies that go back to the way that we were before will probably not be successful going forward. And so, like to use a old school analogy, if you will, is like, think back to the dot-com boom. Companies that were existing before the dot-com boom think and act and operate very differently than the companies born after. And the companies that came after, because they used the internet and technology, they were just at an unfair advantage. And that's why they disrupted so many industries. And so Klaus and I think that the pandemic presents a similar shift in business opportunity. And in particular, we think it's a change related to international business. Like, not to sound too I don't know about it, but like we kind of believe that international is the new agile, if you will. So just like companies over the last 10 years have been big on adopting innovation best practices and agile methodology, we think that companies are going to be looking more toward international. And so, and that's because some of the barriers to entry are lower. Also, companies have had to learn how to operate for the last year and a half in a virtual setting. Well, whether, wherever we are, I mean, we're all in the US right now, but we're in 3 different places. And if one of us was, in Greenland right now, we could still do business the same way, whether we're across town from each other. And so there's a unique opportunity. And in doing that, and I know Klaus likes to talk about this, so I can let him build on it too, is accessing talent, I think, is an interesting trend that's going to change. When you look at accessing global talent in the past, it was very much about aggregating groups of people together. You go to an area where there's a lot of talent, where they're known for a certain skill set, and build a whole center there, like software development in India, or cybersecurity in Israel, as an example, because they have that expertise. But now with the pandemic and distributed work, it doesn't have to be a group of 50 employees in one area. You can get 1 employee in 50 different countries and have a very diverse workforce. So I'll stop there, Klaus. I don't know if you want to build on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that we talk about is, large organizations, they sort of have this window of opportunity to change, right? And that's going to be fairly limited, because right now what the workforce is sort of open to change, because they have been forced into this very distributed world, right? And so if organizations do not take that opportunity, they can very quickly fall behind, right? Because as Aaron said a bit earlier, talent is everywhere, right? And so when you look at a company like Canva that is highly disrupting the publisher space, but they have workforce across the world. They have excellent, people in Philippines and really these low income markets. They can operate very lean as well as a business, right? But if you look at Google, that's sort of their competitor by and large with some of the products that they have, right? They have clusters in like more like high, cost, areas. And so when you look at that, like Canva, lean, fast, low cost, and then Google, there has to be some sort of shift for you to be competitive. At least that's what we believe. So there's the legacy systems that exist in large organizations from a people standpoint. Almost they need to shift and change as well, and finding and access talent from everywhere.
Well, I'll tell y'all something. You guys have a hard job because these are really huge issues for so many organizations right now as the global talent pipeline has changed, and you're seeing a lot of organizations try to go into work from anywhere or remote work models, and
right.
You're seeing employees say, we're not going to go back to the way things are, and then some organizations like, well, we have to because we don't want to change. And I think a lot of what you all are doing is such great education for traditional companies who don't know how it works, and at the same time they want to be innovative.
Right.
Yeah. So actually, we have decided, and we're in the process of trademarking a term related to all of this. And so, everybody's heard of an entrepreneur. A lot of people have heard of intrapreneurs, which is this idea of being an entrepreneur in an established big organization with bureaucracy and complexity and getting things done. Well, Klaus and I have coined the term interpreneur, as in international.
Wow.
And we think that, over the last 10 years, people have wanted entrepreneurial thinkers. Well, as you look to the future, this concept of an interpreneur as an international is someone who has a global mindset, who has a sensitivity to culture, a consciousness of cultural EQ, whatever you want to call it. But it's this global mindedness that really is well suited for global business. And in some of the people we're networking and doing some research around the new book we're writing, we have heard a lot about the importance of this international mindedness. And so, we think that it's an exciting time for companies to be able to get this talent, but it's also an exciting time for individuals. Like if you want to differentiate your career, getting international experience and developing that multicultural mindset can be really, really cool for exciting careers.
It would, in particular importance, obviously, in a distributed world, right? Having that empathy and then that really global thinking from the very get-go is really, really, really important. And it's not just for corporates, it's not just for high growth startups, it's also for early stage companies as well. Because as they're developing their solutions, at least from Aaron and my standpoint, is that the need to bring in a workforce to have a global mindset from the onset and in the early days if they have the desire to become a global company in the future. Because otherwise, you're just developing a product that's very, very local, and then you can have a harder time sort of bringing that product to international markets. So bringing in an international workforce from the early days of the business is going to matter a lot in terms of how you develop your product, your business model, etc. Right? So really having different perspectives, different cultures involved in the conversation is going to matter for you to be successful, at the very least, much faster in that business that you're developing.
Man, this is some brilliant stuff and gems that are being dropped on the show. And I hope you all are taking notes, those who are tuning in and commenting. We have a really great question from the homie Leonardo Ferreira. Hopefully I said that right. Please, hopefully, let me know if I butchered your name. I will apologize straight up. He's asking, how do you control the difference between teams that work in multiple places? So example, salary, respect, time zone, and all of the different cultural details.
Yeah, so I think what's interesting is that the build off of the concept we were just talking about being culturally minded. One thing is companies need to think about the universal appeal of their company cultures. So think of those values. You might even call it like this idea of universal virtues, not just company core values.
Right. And
finding ways to connect there will really allow for universal engagement of employees. But yeah, I think the first thing that you want to do is really recognize some of the differences. Leonardo, you talk about things like salary. Well, in the US, like people don't talk about salary because it really pisses people off. But you go to a country like Germany and like they talk about it a lot. It's like very well known and very public, and that's one example. So it differs a lot. So, it's finding a way to recognize some of those differences in culture, and celebrate the diversity, if you will, to be able to allow you to access a more global customer base. And so it's finding ways, and I think one of the best ways to do this, and I know this isn't as specific of an answer, but the companies that are successful in the future, and we call this concept being global class. These global class companies who are successful in the future, it's not about an us versus them. Like often when you expand to have a global company and people working in different places, there's this concept of, oh, we're the headquarters or we're the home office and you're out there. And when you have that mindset, it creates this us and them, this right and wrong type scenario. And so if you break that, and the idea is just, we're a distributed workforce, headquarters is everywhere, our employees are everywhere, our customers are everywhere, then it really, it breaks down maybe some of these issues and allows for more acceptance of the fact that people are getting salaries in different places because the cost of living is different in different places.
Right. Wow. No, there's so much wisdom that's being shared on the show right now, and I love it. I would have snapped to that answer. Klaus, what do you think, man?
Well, I agree with everything that Aaron says. I just wanted to add, just a little specific case that we learned when doing all of our interviews for the book. For example, Canva, right? Obviously, the headquarter has, by nature been in Australia, but they've also changed the way that they communicate things, right? For example, they did have headquarter in their Slack channel. They had communication around headquarter, and they changed that or removed that from their vocabulary. So being very intentional in the way you go about things is going to matter, right? Because as Aaron and I talk a lot about, is that the notion of a headquarter will likely disappear in many aspects at many businesses, right? Because you are going to be by nature more distributed. The executives is going to be by nature more distributed. So they're going to be in pockets around the world in different regions and stuff like that, because we have the tools and systems that allows us to operate virtually, right? So, we're still trying to figure out what that looks like in our book. But, we believe that that's sort of the direction that we're going towards, that we're not going to see the same type of clusters as we've seen before in terms of where companies are placing their business. And just to kind of, mention something more is like, we've talked to many executives, including the VP of People Analytics at Salesforce, and they're saying that they're going through a whole revision of their workforce planning as well. Where should they hire? How should they, build their office spaces? Should it be more distributed? I mean, they just recently built a tall building in San Francisco. I mean, the question is whether or not they're going to have that staffed to the same level as they expected, or they're going to be reducing that as well. And then maybe renting it out to other organizations. Who knows? But many organizations right now are going through that revision, if you will. And time will still tell in terms of how things are going to be changing, as Aaron talked a bit about the spectrum a bit earlier. Right?
Yeah, I think you're hearing a lot of conversation right now around hybrid,
right.
Which is really interesting. I want to shout out really quickly what Courtney said, and I'll let you add to that, Aaron. It only pisses people off because it isn't fairly allocated at the moment here. Going back to your comment, Aaron, she also asked, how do we change that outlook in the United States? Aaron, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was going to jump into that. I think one, it's a transitionary period, so people are bound to be pissed off as like things are being figured out. But what Klaus and I have seen in Silicon Valley, as an example, is people are wanting to live and work in a distributed fashion, and they're willing to take a pay cut to not live in an area that has a higher cost of living, as an example. And so, but obviously there's going to be these growing pains in the middle where people figure that out. I mean, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but you could start seeing rules that companies make where essentially, typically what companies will do is they will look to be in a certain salary range based on a certain title. but then you just sort of layer on the location element of that. And so the company is like, we want to be in that middle range or the middle high range in that area. And so you probably see companies starting to set up these things based on the cost of living, currency valuation and other things on a local area. It's just, yeah, I mean, Courtney's right. People are going to be pissed off in the meantime because, someone's going to come from the Silicon Valley, take a pay cut, but go to an area where their salary is worth twice as much as it would normally be, especially if they go somewhere international. And so that's bound to happen.
I truly believe that also people has to be kind of putting themselves in a bit more of a mind saying, okay, hey, we are in this transitionary period, right? So I think everyone just have to accept the fact that things haven't been solved for yet. And that will take time to settle, right? Whether it's going to be half year, or a year down the road or 2 years, who knows? We still don't know how things are going to be changing post-pandemic. Let's say in Silicon Valley, we've seen so many people moving to Austin. Who knows? Maybe they're going to be moving back. We have no idea how things will evolve. So we're still in this sort of influx, if you will, that we can't really expect that things are going to be solved just tomorrow, right? And I know, for example, Facebook was very clear about they're going to be asking people to take pay cuts if they're moving away from the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. I don't know if that's changed, but companies has also been very, very communicative around that they would expect, okay, hey, if you're opting into the opportunity to move, you're going to be living in an area that has obviously a different cost of living. And by nature, you also are going to have to accept a pay cut in some way and form. Who knows?
Yeah. Courtney's definitely in sync with y'all. Great points. And she says companies should also pay teachers and nurses more too.
I agree with that.
We agree, Courtney, for sure.
Sure the well.
I completely agree. My sister-in-law is a teacher, and I mean they're doing. I'm not a religious, but I'll just say they're doing God's work, if you will. And they're essentially the ones that are responsible for the next generation of I guess business expert or whatever professionals, right? And they're the ones that are teaching us the good. I was trying to kind of say here. They're the ones kind of responsible for hopefully the U.S. being a bit more sane in the future.
Yeah.
I thought for a second Klaus was gonna start quoting Whitney Houston.
I was almost about to get there. Exactly.
Courtney definitely struck a chord there. So I wanted to shout out. So Leonardo, man, there's questions that are flooding in. Shout out to the homie Ziz Abdur Raouf. In general, education needs to shift. He's a huge education advocate and innovating the education space. Ziz, you should definitely connect with Klaus and Aaron. They're doing a lot of innovative things when it comes to educating enterprises and companies online, virtually, and through their programs. I want to touch on a comment that Leonardo shared really quickly here. He says, thanks for the explanation, guys. He has some examples like in the USA, they are getting Brazilian professionals by a low salary. But for us, it's good because our coin is cheap. But for Americans, it isn't. It takes the median salary of salary in the USA to low. What do you guys think about things such as this?
I'll say this in general at a higher level, there was very much a US centric approach when it comes to the ecosystem or the nexus of where business happens, but that is becoming more and more distributed. It's not just the Silicon Valley as the only place where there are these big innovation ecosystems and unicorns are being built. There are these ecosystems coming everywhere, and they're starting to develop a lot more. And obviously there's a value in places like the Silicon Valley, but it's by no means the only place now. And so as things get more distributed, things will be less US centric. You're starting to see all of these other economies where there used to be a much bigger disparity between income versus the US, and it's getting a lot closer. And I think that's going to continue. And depending on how employees in the US go, if a lot more go distributed, they're going to be leaving the US to go to live in other places, and that's going to balance things out quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, in some way and form, I think it's good, right? I think it's healthy for things to be disrupted a bit. For example, Silicon Valley has been just in cost of living growing. It's been absolutely insane. So I think it's a bit healthy that, for example, Silicon Valley is a bit challenged in that sense, right? And so I'm from Denmark. which is a welfare society that's very sort of, I guess the Gini coefficient is very, very flat, which means that it's a very sort of equal pay country, if you will. Hopefully this is going to help countries educate on how to manage things a bit better from a cost perspective and salary perspective. Who knows? But that's my hope for even the US as a country, but also other markets. I know right now you see that shift. For example, the companies are paying people higher salaries in Brazil, but hopefully also you're going to be conscious of the fact that it is disrupting in some way and form the salary base in those markets as well. So as a government, but also as a company, you need to understand that, and also recognize the fact that you have an impact both on the positive side of things, but there are also negative externalities of that as well. So how do you manage those things? How do you contribute to the society, making sure that things are not just going to be, all of a sudden very inequality in that market just because you're all of a sudden starting to hire in those markets? So I think companies have a responsibility as well in that sense. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Yeah, no, but that's a great point. With that said, Klaus and Aaron, man, you all mentioned you all are working on a book. Talk to us a little bit about the book and tell us where our amazing Team Live community can find out more about the work you all doing.
Yeah, so basically what we found, and yeah, we kind of indirectly mentioned this, but to be more explicit about it, where are we getting the number of these insights from? Well, Klaus and I have almost like gone out and got our own MBA on international business, and we've talked to over 100 executives at like some of the fastest growing and well-known brands across the world. And originally we started with Silicon Valley based companies like Apple and like Zoom and others, but we have very intentionally expanded to talk to entrepreneurs who are in other markets. Klaus mentioned Canva in Australia. We talked to Line in Asia. We've talked to an exciting company that's sort of like a Uber Eats in the Middle East called Talabat. We've talked to entrepreneurs in Nigeria, a number of companies in Latin America, to make sure that what we're learning really is a universal messages. But basically, I think what the best way to compare what we're doing, a lot of people may be familiar with a book or called The Lean Startup or The Lean Movement and Agile Methodology. And Eric Ries, the author, he didn't invent the concept of Agile, but what he did do was he brought together, it's sort of happening organically in different places. He used it on one of his companies, but he brought things together to create a common vocabulary and a common set of frameworks. And so that's what we're doing around international business. Like in all of these 100+ conversations, it seemed like all of these very talented executives were reinventing the wheel. Like there wasn't like a set of methodologies and processes for how do you go about expanding your business. And that's what we're doing. And we're calling the concept global class, as in like best in class, first class, world class. So these global class companies coming out of the pandemic, how did they think and act differently? And how do they build these global organizations at scale?
Right. So does the book have a name yet? Because Global Class sounds like a really good name.
We're working on it. That's the working title. Hopefully that's what it ends up being. We're launching a podcast too. We're calling the Global Class Podcast, and we have a lot of exciting executives from fast growing companies like Flexport, Airbnb, that are going to be sharing their stories around expansion through the podcast, which we're going to be launching early in July, actually.
I love it, man. Well, congrats to you both for amazing work. And I mean, you all obviously sound brilliant. I mean, I've learned so much in this episode alone. And I want to give the last word to Leonardo, my friend. Great opinion guy. Thank you. He enjoyed this episode so much. Aaron, Klaus, we have to have you guys back on in the future.
Sure.
Hopefully after you all launch the book. Yeah?
Yeah. When we launch the book, we'd be happy to do another round.
Let's do it. Well, thank you all so much for your time today and wish you all the best of luck.
Thanks. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Leonardo.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Make sure to go check out what Klaus and Aaron are doing with 10x Innovation, because they are definitely out of this world innovating. Also, while you're doing that, go get your tea at guidegroup.com. Check out our new website, guidegroup.com. Thank you all for all of the positive feedback on our website and our movement. We are gradually expanding our beta as well to select small to medium businesses who have at least a team size of 10 or more. Holler at us at guidegroup.com will definitely get you as a part of our beta as we gradually expand. With that said, I have an amazing guest coming on. She is a ball of fire and energy. Some of you probably already know her because she's been engaging with us in the comments. Her name is Courtney Morrison. She's going to be up in just a few minutes to share a little bit more about the work that she does, leading an organization called Everyone Social as pretty much, I think, the chief marketing officer because she's so active. But she's really, really big on customer experience and engaging every company to get social and how they think about their marketing and branding, but also employee advocacy. So I'm excited to talk with her because she is a ball of energy, and you all will love her listening to her and all of the things she's doing with Everyone Social. But with that said, let's take a break, jam out with us, and hopefully you all are connecting in the comments. All right, y'all.
made it. Coca 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 made it.
I'm excited about our next guest. So I see her on the backstage. She's already amped to be a part of this episode. And, you know, I would love for you all to show some love. Let us know where you're tuning in the comments, because I am talking to the L Woods of digital marketing, as she calls herself, because she really is the L Woods of digital marketing. I'm talking with Courtney Morrison, who is the customer marketing content strategy go-to at everyone's social, but she's also the founder and head of digital marketing at our own company that she founded with her sister called Fairest Way, which really focuses on specializing in golf and travel content. And they have a really, really popular Instagram community. If you don't know, check it out. But today I'm going to talk to her about everything marketing, her journey as a founder, as well as a entrepreneur, and, you know, a little bit more about everyone's social and what they offer to companies so they can actively be a part of the social conversation with their employees as well as their customers. All right, y'all. Hey, Courtney, what's up?
Hello, Tim. Hello, Timothée, as I like to call you, Timothée Salome.
I love it. I love our weird nicknames. How are you doing today? How's everything going? It's almost Friday. It's Thursday, actually. Mm-hmm. Which is officially really Friday, of course.
Yeah. It's the new Friday.
It's the new Friday, as everyone knows, of course.
Because what is time these days? What day? When am I working? When am I playing? You never know.
You never really know these days. It's so true. But you're joining us from Florida, right? Jacksonville.
Yes. That's why I have the shades on. That's why I have these puppies, because I'm in the Sunshine State.
Yeah. How hot is it in Jacksonville right now? Because I'm in Texas and it's definitely hot.
No, we don't have that problem here. Jacksonville is an oasis. So it's right now there's a cloud cover.
Wow.
And it's cool. And I got to go surfing this morning because I can. And then I got to go to work after that.
You are living in paradise, it sounds like.
Literally, because you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's Jags o'clock. It's also sun time. I got this watch at a pawn shop, literally, and at 8:30 a.m. it goes do 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 do. And it's literally a Jacksonville Jaguars. It's literally a watch made for my life. It's so funny.
Are you a Jaguars fan?
I am now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So okay. I grew up diehard Dolphins. #Fins up. I had a brief stint on it for a different team that shall not be mentioned, and now I am all in on Sunshine and Jacksonville right now. But I'm a nomad, so I'm a fan of like all teams.
Yeah. You wish all teams good luck in abundance.
Yes. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I just enjoy watching talented people do what they love to do.
Yeah.
How about that?
No, 100%, and wishing them the best of luck, because what is competition anyways? We all only live once. So Courtney, I'm so happy to have you on, because you consider yourself the L Woods, which is a huge title of marketing, which is pretty awesome. So talk to us, where did that come from, and how long have you been in the marketing space and on getting your L Woods on too?
So this is relatively new. So my career has taken it's been an adventure. Let's put it that way. So I started my career as an intern at many places, but an intern at NBC Universal. And then I worked there full time for 6 years in content research and programming research. Shout out Bravo, shout out USA, shout out cable entertainment, whoop whoop. And I had the best team ever, best bosses ever, and we would analyze TV ratings and figure out why people liked watching different shows. Why are the Real Housewives of Atlanta so compelling to so many people? And that was my job. And I loved it because I am a huge data nerd, huge. And I also love entertainment and TV and education.
Culture.
Yeah. So then from there, I moved to DirecTV and AT&T. I was there for 3 years. And then I was like, you know what? 2019 YOLO. Let's go check out some other cities. Let's go check out Park City, Utah. Let's go work for the Sundance Film Festival. So let's go. So I went out to Utah in 2019. And then this little thing disrupted the entire world last spring. And I ended up moving to Jacksonville, Florida to be closer to my family.
Wow. And by those things, you're talking about COVID-19, right? That little thing, right?
just that little thing.
Yes, it was quite tiny. Well, that's amazing. And what's so fascinating about that, I think, your background being the elements of marketing, is that it's so important for so many organizations and in branding and marketing. And even a lot of people think I'm the brand guy, I'm the marketing guy, but I'm just authentic with our company. But you do a great job of talking online and as well as representing about the importance of authenticity in marketing through a lot of the work that you do with everyone social. I want you to dive deep a little bit on that, right? Being that you are the go-to of marketing at the L Woods, how important is authenticity when it comes to marketing?
How important is water to the earth, to living things? Authenticity breeds trust. It breeds engagement, and it breeds fun. So the more that you're authentic, the more that you show your true self. But gosh, that is hard, because there's a lot of different sides to everyone. So I may be currently the Elle Woods of digital marketing at everyone's social.
Yeah.
But 5 to 9, I'm not. 5 to 9, I'm a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. I'm a little bit Taylor Swift. I'm a little bit Avril Lavigne. And maybe I'm Olivia Pope. And maybe I am Anna Kendrick. And maybe there's just so many different sides to humans. And some days you're happy and some days you're not. And I think that the past year, everyone really got a little bit more in touch with those different sides. Women, men, any gender spectrum, any race. Like it was a big reset button on a lot of things. And it pushed people to evaluate what they want to do most in this life.
Wow, that's such a powerful statement. And, I agree 100% to that, because I don't believe people realize that just like organizations, people are very much multifaceted, right? And there is a spectrum to our identities and it should show and should reflect in your organization's marketing. But if you're just building your own personal brand, allow people to get a window into who you are and all of you, not just parts of you. So that the Instagramification of personal branding, it's hurt a lot of people, and it hurts a lot of companies who try to kind of portray authenticity, but people can tell that they're not.
Interesting that you say it hurts. Interesting, because at the same time, it helps so much because brands, what are brands? Brands are very interesting because they say that they're for companies, but everybody has their own brand too. You don't think about it, but you picked a handle on Instagram that's different from your handle on LinkedIn, that's different from your nickname with your friends and family, that's different for any social network, any means of communication. You pick a different handle and name because that's what your people call you. That's what your friends call you and your family. And sometimes you don't choose them. You might have an embarrassing nickname that maybe you were bullied with when you were a kid, but you may also have one you really like. You're like, oh yeah, I would love to be the Kirsten Dunst of whatever it is that you do. And so that's what, starting at Everyone Social last October, I've only been here for a very short period of time. And I have learned so much from everyone that I work with and from, taking from my past experience. And it pushed me to grow in ways that I hadn't before. So I used to live on Instagram. Now I'm a woman of the world. Now I'm on LinkedIn. Now I'm sometimes on other ones, but like those are the two ones that I probably use the most. And those were the ones that I leaned on super heavily during the pandemic to connect with people, because I wasn't able to see my friends in New York or see my friends in California or France or Portugal or China. I wasn't able to connect with the people that I wanted to the most. And so I turned to my magic wand, AKA my phone, to do that.
Wow. And it gives you access to everyone that you need.
Everyone that I need, and also everything I need to do. I mean, my job, I can do from anywhere. Everyone Social allows you to live pretty much anywhere that you have Wi-Fi and you can connect with people still. We have people in Alaska, in Arkansas, in Texas. We have people in Pennsylvania and Florida and Utah. So it's so, and so many other places. And so giving humans the flexibility to live where they want, where they can be supported, guess what? You get better employees, you get better work, you get better productivity. So it's this like win-win for both sides, that the more that companies realize that, the better everyone is going to be, the happier everyone's going to be, or sad, whatever anyone wants to be.
Wow. Courtney, let's dive deep a little bit more about Everyone Social. So talk to us a little bit about the product and what you all offer to other companies.
Sure, absolutely. Basically my favorite part of my job. And I'm not in sales. I am not technically a salesperson. I am technically right now customer marketing. And so I literally get to hang out with the coolest people in the world, literally, as my job. And we have an app on your phone or on your computer or wherever you work, wherever frontline employees are, back of house employees are. We're super flexible and platform agnostic. And we allow teams to connect, share, and engage with each other. And then with a beep, boop, boop, couple clicks, share it to whatever social network you want that we are integrated with. And we're integrated with a lot. So it just saves you time. It makes it super easy. It makes it fun and engaging. Like our internal feed that only Everyone Social employees can see, unless we want it to be different than that, is fun. I get to see Mr. Price out in Texas raising ducklings. I get to see Mr. Bobby G up in Utah with Zoltan, the dog, guarding his office. I get to see Lady AO, Amy Oscarson. I get to see her in the way that she is raising her family out in Utah. Every human, every teammate that I have has an amazing story that if I wasn't in those places with them, I wouldn't know and I wouldn't get to experience or learn from. And so we all get to like teach each other about something we're passionate about. Like maybe your side hobby is flipping a house and you're incredible at interior design. Shout out Brooklyn. I mean, maybe you like to go surfing in the morning and I don't know, play around on podcasts. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do because you have the flexibility to be where you want to be.
Wow. And I'm currently on y'all's site right now, and just, you can tell that you all have put so much thought into engaging your customers and really driving home the fact that it's a matter of connecting with your people in a more intimate way. Checking out the site now, content curation, amplify, sharing, engagement boost, user management, social gamification. All of the things that companies need in a remote first world now, essentially.
Yes. And this is such a team effort. I love our site. This is, our CEO, Cameron Brain, obviously, this is the brainchild of Mr. Brain, but it's a family affair too. We've got a marketing crew that is so talented and fun to work with, led by Mr. Todd Kunzman, who hired me. Super smart guy. Also just a really good manager too. And it's so much fun. Like literally, it's fun to work somewhere.
Wow, that's amazing.
Who gets to say that?
Yeah, no,
I understand. I'm a spoiled little princess right now, but
very few people love their jobs. Well, I want to dive deep with you because you are definitely our Elle Woods here right now.
Right now, I have the purple pen and I have my coloring pages.
Oh, but, so cute!
Right? This is my dude C. Poovy. He makes Florida and fauna zines, sustainable educational resources, and
amazing.
It's my hobby is to connect with local artists and businesses and support and promote them. It's my favorite thing to do.
I love it. Let me ask you, the pandemic changed so much for so many organizations, how they think about their brands, how they engage their employees. What are one or two trends that you're noticing, right, happening right now when it comes to employee advocacy?
Oh my gosh. Only two?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one that I hear, so I host a podcast called Engagement Drivers, and I get the honor of interviewing the most talented people in social media. And we do bite-sized episodes. They're like 15 minutes long. And I get to ask them questions about how to do my job better, how to build engagement, how to connect people. And so people like Danielle Stapleton from NI came on the show, and she literally, it's an audio case study in how to do things. In how to do things the right way. She was telling me about their most successful campaign at their company on social media. Guess what it was? Talking about their company values.
Wow.
That's what people are connecting with and want to know right now. Because during the course of the pandemic, and people were doing this before, do not get me wrong, this did not just start last year, but more people got on the bandwagon. People started really noticing and caring, okay, where is my money going? Who am I choosing to purchase from and support? Because your money is your money. Your money is power. Whoever you are buying something from, you're giving them something. So what are you getting in return? Are you getting art? Are you getting hydration? Like, what are you getting? What do you value? What matters most to you in life? And so everyone started thinking about that. We had a lot of time to reflect. We had a lot of time to reflect on that. And I think that people really want to know when they're deciding where they're going to work, when they're deciding what they want to buy, when they're deciding who they want to be friends with, who they want to love, they're putting a lot more thoughtfulness and intention behind those decisions. Where you want to live, that decides a lot of things, right? And so giving people the power and flexibility to do and be where they want to be, like was that 1? Was that 2? It was kind of like 20, but that's the trend. And we're seeing that across the board with so many different companies, and it's going to culminate with, okay, plug time. September 20th to the 24th, we have an event called Employee Advocacy Week. Mr. Future of Work will be presenting, will be giving some content. Get pumped. And everyone's just, this is an industry that no one really talks about or hears about. And it's something that more people, when they start understanding it, are going to want to be involved in it because it grows your career. It helps you figure out who you are. It helps you figure out who you want to be, who you are at the moment, and who you want to be in the future. And you can do it from your phone. You can do it from your computer. You can do it from in person in your community, however you want, you can do it. So I know I sound like such a nerd. I know I do.
A brilliant one at that. We love to kind of talk about how do you balance being an entrepreneur, because you're pretty highly visible at everyone, the work that you're doing, leading customer marketing, but also you own your own company in Fairway, which is aligned to a passion for golfing. You are truly living the future of work. How do you balance both and still find a way to remain sane?
I'm working on that. I need a coach in how to do that, mister. It's a challenge because when you love what you do, you want to do it like all the time, but that's actually not healthy.
Yeah.
It's really not healthy. So I have turned to things like coloring books. I have turned to things like Oracle deck tarot cards. I started journaling. I realized that I was unemployed for most of last summer, and I was doing freelance teaching. I was tutoring students for the ACT, and I had the weirdest routine schedule of my life. I have always been like Miss Corporate America. This was a change for me. And so I had to reevaluate and change the way that I worked and lived, because you don't get the same benefits and values out of technology and phone interactions as you do in person.
Yeah.
But if you don't have access to other humans, then you have to go and use technology to do it. That's your teleportation, Kyle. That's the way to connect with people still. So you have to find balance. I'm still working on it. Anybody got tips out there, please send them my way. Because it's hard. It's hard. I started joining pretty regular sessions with this group called Marketing Women. And they are just an incredible resource for me to talk about some of these things in kind of like a safe space. And we had an amazing session last week about imposter syndrome. And it felt like therapy. Like it felt like something anonymous, where you're like, hi, I'm Courtney Morrison and I'm addicted to like helping humans on social media. Like, how do I stop that? How do I like take a break every once in a while? So working it out.
Love the authenticity and the honesty. And shout out to Ziz, who says he volunteers. That's what he does. He'll volunteer. So shout out to Ziz. Mr.
Ziz, let's go. I love that attitude and enthusiasm, because we cannot do it alone. That is one thing I have definitely learned in the past year. Independent, whatever you identify as, it's hard. It's hard out here for an independent person. So you got to get your support system in place.
I love it. Courtney, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. Where can people follow you in the movement that you're leading with Fairest Way, as well as everyone's social.
Yes, please come on down. I'm always happy to connect with anyone. So on LinkedIn, I'm Courtney Morrison. On Instagram, I'm Court's Content. And then with my sister, we are Fairest Way. And then I also dabble, but I don't totally manage the Everyone Social Instagram account, but we're doing some super fun things there and doing a lot of giveaways. So if you would like coloring pages, let us know. I think those are the main platforms that I'm living on right now. I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook, but those are the ones I'm living on right now.
And also, you make sure to check out Everyone's Social playlist on Spotify. They have a playlist that I've been told
Oh
about.
yes. Oh yes. Our intern Luke Siegel put that together. That was Todd's idea. It was so genius. And it's one favorite song from everyone at the company. Just a favorite song, super randomly. We're also coming out with a new one. Stay tuned. It's going to be all about summer.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Summer vibe.
So what's the song of summer?
The song
Mr.
of summer?
Yeah, what's the song? What call it right now? We got to do predictions because we have to see.
I think Peaches is the song of the summer.
Peaches?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I got Peaches.
All right. A little JB. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. That's such a summer song.
I'm still riding on the summer of summer. I'm still riding on the song of summer from last year, which is Watermelon Sugar, Harry Styles. Hands down. I'm still listening to that on repeat.
Yes, this is
okay. Summertime, Will Smith. I like that vote. I like that vote. Anybody else have a summer song?
I don't think anyone's gonna share. Well, let us know in the comments later on. Mm-hmm. We'll come and comment on it. Courtney, it's been such a pleasure having you on. We need to have you on again, maybe after our Employee Advocacy Week festivity.
Okay, yeah? Sure. After, before, during, whatever you want. I'm flexible.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
And that was the Courtney Morrison, who is the Elwoods of marketing. Check her out. I've shared her LinkedIn in the comments. Also, check out what she's doing with her company, Fairest Way. With that said, I want to cap things off by showing you all a thank you all so much for all of the love and support that you send my way and share with us on LinkedIn as well as on Twitter. Show us some love at guidegroup.com, our new site. Join our waitlist if you want access to our beta program that we are gradually expanding. We are looking for select medium and small to medium businesses who want to be a part of our beta and be early before we go and launch into the public, as well as get your tea on bigblacktea.com and at guidegroup.com. We link to the site, bigblacktea.com. Show us some love at guidegroup.com. Let us know what's your thoughts on our new site. What do you think? We've been getting a lot of positive feedback around it, as well as the lifestyle that we're going for and that we're representing. And we want to thank you all for being a part of this journey with us for the last 2.5 years now. We've been building Guide, and we're only getting better with time. All right, y'all. Shout out to the homie Jonathan Martinez, who is chiming in last minute. What's up, Mr. Martinez? Hope all is well with what you're creating in your design work, man. Lots of love going your way. As always, check out guidegroup.com to stay connected with us and reach out to us and even directly with me. All right, y'all. Talk soon. And as always, peace, love, and hot abundance with hot tea. All right, y'all. Peace.